也是为数不多的使用中文发表博士论文的博士留学生之一。
谢谢啊。对啊，我当时在中国读书的时候都用中文，所以
And one thing I would like to highlight is this gentleman actually used Chinese to write his doctoral dissertation. So it's not a really easy job for a foreign student. So for our studies in China, of course, all used in Chinese. And actually, right now in Nepal, I also work a lot with China. I'm so glad to see all these. You can see right now, Kathmandu is all decorated in red because all the Nepali are right now waiting to see the Chinese President Xi Jinping in Nepal for a state visit. So look at the gentleman here. Actually, he is well prepared for today because this is a correct uniform to celebrate the key occasions, either the holidays or the special events. So this is the traditional Nepal adobe. This is called the hat. This is something very special. So a local people actually man-made this. And the material called ladai. And the dora, this is the top. It's like the t-shirt, like the shirt. It's quite easy to wear. So tie this up. So you can basically help you to adjust the size. And for the pants, for the bottom, very easy to walk. And outside, actually, in the old days, we have the bell and also with a knife. But right now, we don't need that, right? But for the ancient days, it's like a bell here, so it's very easy for us to carry a lot of things like a knife and also your accessories. So if you pay a visit to the remote areas, you still can see this rural throw baduka. So baduka means belt. And we also have a jacket outside. It's actually not really traditional, the head-to-toe coordination or the merchandising. So you can see this a little bit westernized because I'm wearing a suit outside, but still I wear it for the special occasions. Like in Nepal, especially in Kathmandu, there's a lot of mountains for sure because this is a home to the Himalayas. So talk about this, very easy to wear and also easy to walk. So especially think about all these mountainous terrains. So we need to wear something easy to walk and easy to move. So we don't have planes. So in the winter is so cold, in summer it's really hot. So we need to wear this. It's good for all seasons. So talk about if you really like to get something local, and this is the Laura. This is really good for you. So this will enjoy a really long history, as long as 2,000 to 3,000 years old. But of course, it's also upgraded with the time. So talk about from the high to toe, this traditional custom. And all the Nepalese right now is well prepared to welcome Chinese President Xi Jinping. And look at this one back us. It's also decorated in white. Gao Liang, also one of the designers. So talk about why we have this. So talk about this archway. Actually, you don't need to mention that. You can see all the Nepal people is really warmly welcome the Chinese President Xi Jinping. And you look at this, it's also write down warm welcome to our distinguished Chinese guests. And we also look at, we have picture of Chinese president and also the president of Nepal. And of course, we also have the Mount Everest. That's the highest mountain on earth that represents the world. And I also have pictures that we have the brave that climb to the Mount Everest. And we also have asbestos. It's a very important temple we talk about. That's very monastery. It's also the World Heritage Site. We have a Nepal national flag. So you can see this is bilingual. Of course, not only bilingual, we also have English. So you can see this is the perfect example to show our warm welcome. And you can see our national flag, not only the Nepal's national flag, and also the Chinese national flag, and also President Xi Jinping, and also our president's pictures. And actually, the President Xi Jinping also met with the visiting Nepali president before. So you can see there are a lot of decorations. We can tell it's well prepared. Right now we are at Medical Mandala. This is the main street. So Mandala right now, this is the key road in the center of Kathmandu. And this is a really important location. So everyone right now just doing the last minute check to welcome the Chinese president. So we are looking forward. I believe this is the first state visit by a Chinese president to the country in 23 years. So for us, it's really important to us. All our people really looking forward for the President Xi's visit, and also would like to show the big changes undertaking in Nepal to the Chinese president. So you also look at a lot of things decorated in white. It means that a long-lasting friendship between Nepal and China. And also you can see a lot of things written in Chinese, English, and Nepali. So as Galen introduced, so in the recent days, we quite seen these kind of the decorations a lot along all the streets. So there's an LED screen in front of us, and also written in 3 languages. Means long lives to our friendship between China and Nepal. So you can see the LED screen also showed a lot of different places in both countries with modern features. And we saw the Summer Palace. I believe I also see the picture of Shanghai. So that's the bond of Shanghai. I believe through the Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit, that's also a key occasion for people in both countries to know each other better, right? So through the pictures, we know a lot about China, and I hope through these LEDs and Chinese people know more about Nepal. And we also show the Himalayas, the Mount Everest. We know the whole territory. Talk about Nepal is not that big one, but talk about our history actually enjoying 1,000 years. And we also have quite rich culture. So during my these days work with our local friends. I also would like to show our viewers some newspapers, local newspapers. So this
历
one.
史最悠久的一份报纸，它的名字叫《库尔喀日报》。那么从
This
它
is the
创刊至今
longest
走过了
history
119年的这样的一个
newspaper
历史。
or the press
我们也
in
可以看到
Nepal. I believe that's 119
是登上了这个库尔喀日报的
years.
头版头条。
So we also have the
库尔喀日报的主编
President Xi
这
Jinping's
也是创刊119年
article
首
also
位外国
at
国家
this
元首的
newspaper, and it was saying to us like this is the first foreign president signatured articles published on the local newspaper.
这个今天所有的报纸
So talk about President Xi Jinping's article. Actually, you can see all the press here in Nepal will all show the Chinese President Xi Jinping's signed article.
这个尼泊尔
So talk about Nepal.
代表国家的一个日报。虽然尼泊尔有很多日报，但是 Gorkha Patra
Actually, we talk about this is the Nepal Daily. Actually, this is one called Bidhya Daily, and this is enjoy the longest history in Nepal.
因为跟其他的这私人的都不同。那现在这个现在
So think about this is the mainstream and also the public newspaper press. So this is a signed article by Chinese President Xi Jinping titled "Toward Greater Progress of China-Nepal Friendship Across the Himalayas." So we talk about the Himalayas. It's look all beautiful. There are a lot of really good storytelling, but people actually live in that areas,
因为现在这个中国这一直是
not really enjoy a high living standards.
那可能
So we talk about China is doing a great job in poverty alleviation. They actually contribute a lot of really good learnings and lessons in these areas. I believe by Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit, we hope we can
那么其实我们在走访
see more efforts being done in the poverty alleviation in Nepal.
我们有一个深刻的感受。
So we talk about this called the Kurpatra Daily.
的时候，所有的人都
We also visited this
奋战在
press.
出版的第一线，但是每个人都没有感受
We
到
talk about people actually work day and night,
因为这个署名文章的发表
but look at them, they just so enjoy their work. We talk about a signed article by Chinese President Xi Jinping published by the Kurpatra Daily, also a very important historic moment for this news press. It said they really like to witness this historical moment happened in Nepal
我们介绍了
by a Chinese president visit in 23 years.
挂上了两个国家
As Goliang introduced to us, you can see this really
一些点景的地
a
方
high level welcoming
国家的国旗
decorations. You look at all these bright colors and also a lot of balloons and the colors representing both countries.
一个布置。那么现在呢，我们就要走进这个就是刚才你介绍的这样一个曼陀罗的一个广场。我们进到里面去。
This we right now we are at the main street
好的。
of
那么我们就走到了这个曼陀罗的这样的一个
Kathmandu.
可以看到啊，在我们身后啊有一个非常精美的这样的一个设计。那么高亮，你能不能跟我们介绍一下？
Right now we are
这个曼德拉呢也是尼泊尔
in front of this very beautiful.
那这个曼德拉
It's called a mandala, and this is mandala
这个中间是一个代表一个
also represents quite a big significance in the religious affairs and also our culture.
代表一个世界。
So mandala actually
如果一个
represents
访问这些解释的话，曼德这是一
the
个
all elements of the world.
这个文的园里面呢，好多这个不同的这个历史。
To look at everything actually is in the circle. That within the circle, it represents all different elements of a culture, and the different cultures represents different the aspects and sectors. So that's why you can see this include a lot of colors. The red, yellow,
能
green.
给我们展示一下你手上这份报纸它的头版吗？
And you are also holding a newspaper, right? Can we take a look?
来，我们看一看它的头版。
So let's look at the front page of this newspaper.
今天
You can see national flags of both countries as we introduced. I believe the majority of the press in Nepal, they worked so hard to welcome the Chinese president's visit. So we talk about the Gada Patrol Daily, the Rising Nepal, and the Kantipur Daily all had published this signed article by Chinese President Xi Jinping. So we also talk about, like you can see, the Himalayas and also the atypical construction of China and Nepal. So we talk about like this old Basantapur Tower. We talk about actually the Himalayas represent Nepal and also really have the good wishes through the Himalayas to convey a warm message. So we talk about the two countries can work together for further development and also bring our long-cherished friendship going forward on top of the Himalayas. So talk about the signed article by Chinese President Xi Jinping titled Toward the Greater Progress of China-Nepal Friendship Across the Himalayas. So we have a lot of interpretations on this article, and also look at this actually is a volunteers. They come here to prepare the flowers to welcome the Chinese president. This is the SPS symbol. We talk about the precious guests coming to us to prepare the 2 ponds filled with water. So this is the SPS symbols for sure. So also look at the archway. We also have these symbols. So wish everything's so well. So the best wishes. So you can see we prepare a lot. So in many different locations, you can see this is called galasa. Galasa is also the decorations to light up the city in the evening to welcome our precious guests. So we also had an interview with the chief editor at Korka Daily. Talk about the Nepal people who use their warmest way to welcome the Chinese President Xi Jinping. So you can see this decoration in right as a long live of China-Nepal friendship. And also look at all the Nepali people working so hard for the last minute preparation to welcome the Chinese guests. And we also have some the specific designs for Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit. And this old man-made works. We talk about the galasa. We look at the national flags and also the letters. The Chinese characters. You can see Nepali people really work so hard and also show our warmest welcome. I believe this is really the special moment for all the people here in Nepal. And also for us, we're actually very busy in the two countries exchange and the cooperation. I believe for us is also a key milestone. This is a very happy day for all of us here. It's a holiday for us. So at the Korka Daily and also the other daily, the Chinese President Xi Jinping published his signed article titled Toward the Greater Progress of China-Nepal Friendship Across the Himalayas. talk about actually these different ways to show how we can bring our friendship further ahead. Actually, I also had a visit not long ago in Surkate. There's a village located, I believe that's the southwestern areas of Nepal. I talked to the local villagers. And they had a critical issues, the irritation issues, and also the access to the drinkable water during the dry season. So we talk about how we can bring our friendship across the Himalayas. So we talk about not only Nepal, we talk about the whole countries located around the Himalayas. A lot of good storytellings. Everything look good, but actually people here living not really a high level living standards. So we talk about because of China's the Belt and Road Initiative and also the cutting edge technology, we believe we can benefit from this cooperation. We talk about the western region in Nepal. Actually, they have some region they have to really struggle to meet their basic needs like the drinking water. We have the lakes, but we don't have the facilities to really get that water drinkable. So we believe through the certain projects under the BRI, we hope to improve people's living standards to solve their basic living needs, like to get access to the safe drinking water. We hope all these projects will be flourishing and help our people, especially in the mountainous regions and the remote regions. They have the secured living standards. By doing so, we will also see our economies upgrading to a higher level. We believe only China's high tech can help us. I believe they're quite mature. We talk about in Guiyang, Yunnan, they also have some similar areas like the western region in Nepal. We believe we can take their lessons, their projects in these areas and apply to Nepal. We talk about, as President Xi Jinping said, we share the benefit brought by BRI. What we can share right now, we talk about the cutting-edge technology from China. We would like to introduce the Chinese technology to Nepal to help to improve people's living standard, as well as the good lessons from China's poverty alleviation. So we need more projects like all these, and we hope that by the end of the day, people's living standard can be much improved. So we talk about this project. Actually, right now we have one project undergoing that's related to the access to the drinking water. So we talk about this something impossible a couple years ago. We talk about actually that project should cross the highest mountain in the world. So let me show you this picture to help you can better understand how difficult the project is. We talk about why the getting drinkable water is so hard. We talk about actually at the very north part we have the abundant source of water, but that cannot really get to the southern part for the irrigation purpose. At a very long time ago, the Nepal government really want to bring the water from the north to the southern part of the country, but it's so difficult. We call it mission impossible. You look at the different colors. All these actually is the Mount Himalayas. Different colors represent the different rock stratas. We talk about the look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Need to really go through all these 7 different rock stratas. So this is so complicated. You can tell. And as the youngest among of Himalayas, we talk about actually the Himalaya also quite well known for its rich material or the rich different kinds of the rock stratas. Different colors represents different hardness or softness of the rock stratas. And you can see they're not really evenly layered. So look at the upper layer and the lower layer. It's all different stratas. So we talk about it's so hard for the machines to get through all of these different stratas. Some Western companies had a try, but doomed to fail. And we talk about this project actually had 3 rounds of open bidding, and finally the Chinese company awarded the bid. So for myself, my observation is look back to the Chinese history. We can tell China is so strong in these kind of infrastructure construction. So Western countries cannot compete with China. It's beyond everyone's imagination. You talk about the Himalayas. I also also had some studies in the geometries. I'll talk about this youngest mount, which means actually the Mount Himalaya still develop itself. So we talk about that also bring another level of difficulties to the project. I believe only China can make it possible. I believe for China is not that hard, I believe. So besides these projects, I actually also look at some of the areas in Western regions. They had quite difficulties that will benefit our people. And we also would like to give credit and appreciate the Chinese companies coming to Nepal to make this great contribution. I believe that's also a way to share the benefit brought by BRI. I also would like to take this opportunity to show our highest appreciation to the Chinese friends. Indeed, actually, I talked to the workers from China and Nepal. They told us one message, that the machines are the supporting tools. The key holds on the hands of the people. It's our friendship. That friendship helps us to overcome the difficulties. I believe that's the secret behind all these mega projects. I believe the whole projects and also the following up projects all demonstrate a long-lasting friendship between our two countries. So we talk about, if you look at history, we talk about the people-to-people exchange, we talk about culture, we talk about the habits. Actually, a lot of things in common between China and Nepal. And also look at us. Some people really look like Chinese people. And also for us, you look at a lot of Chinese tourists also come to Nepal. I believe the very first generation of Nepali may also immigrate from China. So we talk about the culture, habit, a lot of things in common. That's why we also see the Chinese people are doing a great job here because there's nothing quite different between our two countries. We're all from Asia. A lot of things shared in common. Maybe we speak different language, but talk about the way of thinking actually is quite the same. So we cherish our friendship, and we need to mention a massive earthquake happened in 2015. We talk about the cultural relic as we've seen before in Durbar Square. had a big issue, and we have the restoration teams from around the world, including from China. Right now, is very busy in repairing these cultural relics. So, for your knowledge, how the progress going on? So, for my knowledge, China attached great importance on cultural relics restoration. And we talk about the China actually signed the materials, the medical teams to Nepal. They give the greatest the contribution to Nepal. So they signed the team promptly to solve the short-term issues, like giving us the food, the materials. Not only the Chinese government, also the Chinese people really help us to solve the short-term issues. And talk about our long-term issues. We talk about the restoration of cultural relics. That's neat time. We talk about the Durbar Square in Kathmandu. We had a lot of works need to be done in the restoration of cultural relics, especially the nine-storeyed Basantapur Tower. So we talk about this really the landmark of Kathmandu. So this is a lot of kings in the history of Nepal. That used to stay in this tower, and also we talk about the Durbar Square. That's also the royal palace, and we also have a high school. That's also the first high school in Nepal. All these constructions, the Chinese people will give a great importance to us. I believe that we share the same feeling. They know that this is so hurt our feelings when we see all these cultural relics damaged. We talked around high school, with Durbar Square, and the nine-storeyed tower, all right now undergoing with the help of China. That's the big projects. We talk about the small projects. A lot of projects going on between our two countries. So we believe the Chinese people really did a lot to the Nepali people. We really see that. So we see the keywords going mentioned for many times. It really a big thank you to the Chinese people, Chinese government. We talk about from the history that also mentioned by President Xi Jinping, that we talk about we had a quite long history between our two countries, and we talk about the Nepali princess married to the Tibetan king. So we talk about, as we mentioned, the nine-storeyed tower in Durbar Square. Then let's also look at how the project's going on. So I will like my colleagues to carry on. So to all the viewers, right now we are at the Durbar Square of Kathmandu, and this is what we call nine-storeyed Basantapur Tower, and that's also the one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And my name is Tianru, and right now we are here to doing the projects in the areas of restoration of a cultural relic. So it sounds so cool. It's like I'm not students overseas. I'm the person here to help repairing cultural relics. So we talk about cultural relics. So what's so special for this area? We talk about nine-storeyed tower actually. So after the unified of the whole country, this is the King Shah live in, and we talk about actually in the middle, that's in the shape of square. So you can see this is a square shape. It's not square. And look at the 4 different towers. So talk about it started from the 18th centuries to 19th centuries. So with a long history of 400 years. So this is the 4 towers, and this is the northwest and northeast towers. And with a bronze tripod, the southeast, and this one covered, that's the main body of the 9-storeyed tower. We talk about because of the massive earthquake, the top 3 floors, that's from the 7th to the 9th floors, damaged. So what we are doing now is to repair the top 3 stories of the tower. So we talk about the 4 towers here. It's all look different. Why they bring this in different shape or different style? Talk about the height. Talk about the different decorations. It's all different. Actually, this is Singapore. There's a royal palace, or this is the way where the King Shah live in. So you look at they should be represents the power, and they should be also the highest construction in the whole city. So look at this one. It's the northwest tower that represents the one region that's called the Kathmandu. And we also have a pattern. That's another tower. So we talk about the different tower represents different regions, or we talk different cities. So when the whole team starts your restoration work, so we were here May 2017 for the preparation work. We can tell when we just arrived here because it's aftermath. It's the 8.1 magnitude massive earthquake. So that caused a lot of cultural relics, the towers, the serious damage. We talk about 80% walls actually were not in a good shape. You look at all these, the quadruple courtyard. It's not really in this tidy shape. And also look at the whole wooden windows also have the certain damages back then. And the serious one is this one, the 9-storeyed the towers from the 7th to the 9th storage is all damaged. So we talk about this one. We talk about right now. Look at the wooden structure at the top. It's all collapsed. And we talk about this one in front of us. We should work with it first because it's also cleaning back then. And from May to September is the raining season. We talk about actually already experienced 2 rainy seasons, and we talk about because in this all these the tilt shape, we don't want this collapse, and because we have the civilian houses underground under it, so we don't want to have the another accident happened. So this is the first tower we worked on. So we talk about the restoration of cultural relic. How we really bring every pieces of bricks and wooden materials back. So we talk about we are quite rich in these areas, but based on our experience, we also can talk about that this is actually the quite difficult, very challenging one to repairing this 9-storeyed tower. So this is the northwestern tower. This is lightly injured. And actually this already repaired or restored in 1971 by UNESCO. So we already finished all the restoration work here for this one. So look at this, the elaborated carved wooden decorations. Of course, for us, it all look the same. And for the smaller size, this is what we call the roof tile. So for the principle of restorations, we should keep everything as original as possible. So this kind of the roof tiles actually we collect from the local residents. And I did some preparation. We talk about that because the old buildings represents a long history. So for the restoration, we should as much as possible to bring its original look. So this is something very different from other repairings. So other repairings should make everything as new as possible. For us, the restoration of cultural relics, the principle is we should bring this original look as where we talk about the old style back to its original taste. So look at all these tiles actually all based on our restoration projects. So all these tiles actually we collected from the mass and bring that to the original order. And some tiles, roof tiles, we collect from the local residents. So back to the first day we came here, actually look at a lot of monkeys actually took here as their home. So they're quite aggressive because they live here for 2 years. They should be the master here. And the monkeys actually really stood at different stairs, different entrances to stop us to coming inside. We talk about the Hanumanoka. This is called the King of Monkey. So talk about the Monkey King. That's also the quite similar concept. So we really had a good farewell to really send all these monkeys and the king of the monkeys to other places, and then started our work in restoration. So we talk about this is not an easy job, right? Because this is after a massive earthquake. For the elderly person, we should bring everything back to its original look. So look back to the whole history. Share with us one story of the most challenging cases. So talk about the whole project because a lot of things collapsed. We should first bring this back. You look at this is the northeastern tower damaged, but still the tower was there. So we use very basic skills. We can bring it back. But we talk about the different towers that's the quite collapsed in for the whole shape. We should bring everything back based on its original sketches or the pictures. So we talk about this really rely on the collector intelligence by the Chinese team members and also the Nepali craftsmen. So we talk about the Nepali craftsmen that really help us to do all these caving jobs. So look at this. The wooden carving works. So this is all made by the local craftsman. So we talk about we collected over 2,000 different pieces. Only 50% of these pieces could once again use for the restoration. But actually for us, we're still the foreigners. We're not so familiar with all these different wooden carving pictures. So actually also good learning for us. We learned a lot from the local craftsman. So we also, through all the process, we made a lot of local friends. So look inside, look at the color is quite different. So we talk about this elaborated carved wooden pieces. Talk about the materials. So what's the principle? So we talk about we should first bring the original materials back. So we should use the same materials as the original towers use. So we talk about according to the local law. So indoor, they can use the material of pine, and we talk about it because this is a sole representative landmark of Nepal. So during our whole projects, we use the original wood. So everything we should bring it back. So we not really count the costs, because what we want to do by the end of the day, we want to really bring the original look and style back. So this is the originally a royal palace. And it's not that easy to find this kind of wooden material. So talk about the timber actually already cut in the market, and also the overall height is just around 2 to 3 meters, but we need 5 meters. The longest one we need 7 meters, and we ordered for 2 years. We still not receive it. So basically we should really to a forest. So we truly took the raw materials from the forest to the site. Let's get downstairs to look at the other wooden pieces. We still have some undergoing projects or a restoration projects going on here. So let's see whether we can see some timber components. So right now is one of the key holidays for local people. It's the biggest event for them. So think about actually they're the national holidays. The biggest national holidays that also really attach great importance to spend quality time with their families. So right now we look at this is a part of our timber components. So some actually originally from the nine-storeyed tower, and some components not from this tower, from the other constructions in the Durbar Square. So we should first get everything matched and then bring it back to the original place. So look at this, really the subtle details. Very sophisticated, but after the mass earthquake, we still talk about a lot of things just broken, damaged. They not really collected and clean them right after the earthquake. So we talk about we collect the components here, right? So some pieces damaged. So we talk about for the broken ones, they can really stick everything back as one piece and then bring it back to the original place. So we talk about a local craftsman really help us to do that work. So we talk about anything that with the potential availability, we will collect as many as possible. So we want to have as limited interference as possible. We really would like to use everything originally collected from the set. So we talk about that this is a local landmark, the nine-storeyed Basantapur Tower. This with the longest history in Kathmandu. So back to the ground floor, let's take a closer look at these wooden pieces. You look at this one. So you can tell the color is different. The left-hand side is the old one, the original one. The right one is restored one. So we talk about actually we have the highest skilled craftsmen from Nepal. I really want to pay a visit to Badgan and talk about that's the home to the state-to-art craftsmen. So you can see they really mastered these high skills. Look at the whole lines, very smooth. Look at the details. Look at the facial expression. Make you calm, and also look at their body language, really vivid. So we talk about the whole process of restoration of cultural relics. I believe that's also a really good opportunity for you to learn the local culture and history. Yes, during the whole process. Like we talk to the local craftsmen, it really help you to learn a lot. So you see this board, a lot of boards actually introduced a project. So talk about this nine-storeyed tower actually is so important to Nepal and also the people in Nepal. So we should talk about we shoulder really heavy responsibilities. So talk about our project. Actually, the progress is quite fast and also receive really good feedback from the local people. They always show us the sum up to cheer up and give us the courage to moving forward. I believe our Chinese team, and we also talk about my institution of the cultural relics restoration, actually have quite rich experience in this regard. And we're also quite confident that we have that capability to bring the nine-storeyed tower back to as it was before the earthquake.